All right. And I can turn into LeBron James. Yeah.
I am LeBron, actually. But good theme song.
Great theme song. Happy Monday, everyone. Today is episode 8. We are joined by Ishan Tandon. Could you give the listeners a quick intro of who you are and how did you meet us?
Absolutely. Hey, everyone. My name's Ishan, current senior at USC, studying finance with minors in artificial intelligence and applied analytics. My path, to USC and to investment banking was a bit different than most. I actually came in as a political science major, so I thought I was going to go to law school. Very quickly realized that wasn't for me. Didn't enjoy the class as much, and then found out about investment banking through TIS actually. And so happy to be on the podcast, talk a little bit more about kind of involvement there. But it's a special one because I know both of you very well. Kruti and I were in Scholars of Finance together. Then Max and I were in the same CAP mentorship program through Marshall together. That's how we met.
I was in Scholars of Finance.
He was.
He joined a little bit later.
Kruti and I are the main heads.
Yeah.
Okay.
We ran VP of LDP together.
Exactly. It was fun. It's fun.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of TIS mentorship and TFA, excuse me. Students are in that and we're in that in the past. So excited to be here.
Awesome. Can you tell us more about your involvement with TIS, how it helped you with your recruiting journey?
Absolutely. So I learned about TIS actually my freshman spring. So I didn't do any of like the capstone or the general member programs, but I learned about it through the leaders program actually. So I ended up, I had no clue what investment banking was. Didn't really know what they did. I still thought like as a freshman, it was like, the little places where like you like deposit cash and take out cash. Like,
okay.
I thought that was like what an investment bank was.
You thought you were going to be a teller.
Yeah, basically. I was like no clue what it was, but people talked very highly of the role. And so I ended up interviewing for TIS leaders, had some really good, directors of leaders in the grade above me, and then was able to fortunately get in. And I think through that semester it was really great because we, touched a lot on kind of the technical portion, but there's also a lot of emphasis on understanding what investment banking is. And I think that's particularly important for a lot of freshmen and sophomores to realize. So I ended up doing that and then was fortunate enough to get into TIS mentorship, or now known as TFA. And I did that, while I recruited for banking. Had some really great people in my corner, had some really great mentors that we can touch on. And have been happy to give back to TFA and TIS, mentored both of you all, and mentored some other people. It's been really exciting. It's nice to have people invest into you, and then you kind of pass that forward, invest into the next generation. And, I think that's the way I want to see it happening for all of USC to continue the growth.
No, we're grateful to have had you.
Yeah. So for the listeners, this will be mainly like a behaviorals podcast, talking about like the certain questions that you get and how Ishan approached them. I feel like he was someone that was really good at that. We've had other episodes of like how they secured offers, and so we're not going to touch too deep on that, but just so the listeners know, like, where are you going?
Absolutely.
What industry?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So for me, I think it's interesting. I was interested in technology and healthcare. I think with my background, as I mentioned, the 2 minors that I have, and just, the stuff I like reading, I'm going to be joining Perella Weinberg's tech team in San Francisco, which I'm super excited about. One of our good friends, Finney Ho, will
Shout
also
out,
be
Finney.
a summer analyst there, so I'll get to work with him for a year, which will be really exciting. I'm just really excited for starting the full-time job.
That's great. So can you first start off by just telling us the importance of behaviorals? I know you drilled that into Max and I.
Yeah.
Every interview we had, like mock interview, you would say like, you got to know your behaviorals. Like, what is the importance of it?
Look, so I think the common line that you typically hear that people in grades above you or bankers say is, technicals are kind of the base layer. You got to be perfect in those. And behaviorals are what win you the interviews. I have a bit of a different spin on that, honestly. And I think because of how hard banking recruitment is getting, I mean, we all know there's so many people trying to get into these top banks, these top spots, and there just aren't enough spots for everyone. And so I think similarly to how your technicals need to be great, your behaviorals have to be perfect to an extent too, right? And by perfect, I don't mean cookie cutter, robotic, say the exact same thing every time, but you have to have this ability to connect with people, because that's what an investment banker is. They're an advisor. They're able to connect with clients. They're able to connect with different teams, and that's what's really important. So with behaviorals, you need to be able to showcase your story in a very short amount of time, whether it's an interview, a coffee chat, or et cetera.
And I was told perfect for everybody is different.
Exactly.
Like,
you're so spot on.
There's not a benchmark of
Yes.
perfect.
Right.
It's like unique to you, and you need to find that. And
Absolutely.
so how did you find like you're perfect when you're crafting behaviors?
I mean, it's hard, right? The first one is never the best.
Yeah.
You have to, I mean, we all know you have
Right.
to go through revision upon revision. And sometimes you sit there like, before a coffee chat or the day before a coffee chat and your head's in your hands. You're like, man, like I need to rewrite everything about this. And so I think for me, what's really important is you kind of reflect on, number one, why you want to do IB. And that's a really important reflection. I think for me, what I realized is, as I mentioned, I was in a political science major and then didn't want to go to law school. But I really appreciate the rigor of IB, honestly. And I think there's a lot of good understanding that comes out of this fast-paced environment. I'm someone that likes to work on 4 to 5 projects at a time. Like that benefits me. It's a lot, but I like to keep track of all of that. And I like to work on kind of learning as much as I can in all these different aspects of different projects. So that was a huge part of, why investment banking is interesting to me. The second thing that's interesting that you should mention is you should have some characteristics or some traits that I think allude to investment banking, right? So if you're able to show that, of course, you're not going to explicitly say, I'm a very hard worker, I'm very dedicated. But if you can show that you are those characteristics or those specific, traits through your tell me about yourself, through your why firm, why IB, so on and so forth, that becomes super important.
How did you craft your why tech? I feel like that's a very important question to know the answer to, whatever industry you're specifically recruiting for.
Absolutely. And I think the thing is, it's not just a why tech, right? Like you were in consumer and retail and you were interested in that, talking about that. I think for me, I always like to start off with a story. So the story is my dad by trade is like a semiconductor engineer. He works in like operations stuff now, but he works for a big semiconductor company in the Bay Area. And when I used to live in the Bay Area, he used to take me into the fabs on Sunday mornings, and I used to stand on like my tippy toes and like look into the fabs. And I was like probably more amazed by like how big the machines were. But I used to tell this story to show that like I have been interested in tech from a young age. That then builds into I competed competitively in robotics nationally and internationally with in high school, and then ended up picking up 2 minors at USC to kind of further and supplement my knowledge. One of my favorite classes I've taken at USC is a neural networks course that I currently TA for. And so showing all of these different layers of why are you interested in technology is super important. As you can see, these are tangible pieces of evidence. They're like, wow, Ishan does have knowledge of the tech industry, but is also super interested in it. And it's not specific to saying, oh, I've read this deal or I've seen this trend. I mean, that can be added on, but you really want to pull from these stories from your life, I think, that are super important.
And it's unique to you. Like the interviewer, they find it interesting.
Yes,
right? Like a story about you looking into these fabs.
You can imagine yourself, or you can imagine a little boy looking into over a window. Like it's a very, relatable story.
It's like in 3rd grade when they tell you show not tell.
Exactly.
Right.
It's
so
the exact same thing when it comes to
or even like the college admissions process when they're like, show it through your essays. Don't just tell us what you want.
But also it's like technicals, everyone's going to have the same answer if you're getting it right.
1
like
+ 1 = 2.
Right.
Right?
Behaviorals is where you can actually be someone who's memorable. No one's going to be like, wow, this kid had crazy technicals. Like we should definitely hire him.
No, you're spot on. Like technicals are base layer. Behaviorals are really where you stand out from the pack and make yourself an interesting person.
Right.
And you can sneak by with technicals.
Oh, yeah.
Like if you just get lucky and they don't ask you anything too hard, like you're in the free for behaviorals. Like behaviorals, like you can't really sneak by.
Because there are some, I mean, we'll dive into this a little bit later, but there are some tough questions that like you need to think about, you need to know, kind of thinking about beforehand, but also like the way you answer certain questions, the way you hold yourself, the way you carry yourself. It's a huge difference because as an analyst, you're still being brought into these deal rooms. You're still doing these major deals and you're still part of the deal team. And so your MD, your VP, your director, they need to have the confidence that you can, be brought into those rooms and act as a banker.
I think there's almost more grace given if maybe you get one technical wrong versus you getting like a behavioral that you should know wrong.
Sure, absolutely.
At the end of the day, it's all vibes.
Yeah.
Right? It's like if I'm interviewing Ishan, it's like I won't remember that he got walk me through DC.
Right.
I'm not saying you would get that wrong.
You shouldn't, guys.
I would
you
be
shouldn't.
like, oh, Ishan, the kid from Colorado who likes to ski and like runs marathons for fun.
Exactly.
Ran a San Francisco marathon.
Right? Like,
you're spot on.
That's what I'll remember a kid as. And then as long as like they do solid in technicals, I feel like that's the perspective bankers share as well.
Absolutely.
It's like technicals can be taught. That's what they always say.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I mean, that's, I think what you touched on right there is exactly right, because as people may or may not know, when you finish the super day, the team, like we're sitting in a room right now, the team goes to a room, they pull up maybe, they pull up your name or they pull up your face on like a computer screen, and they're like, all right, let's talk about Ishan, let's talk about Max, let's talk about Kruti.
Yeah.
And if the first thing out is, man, I really loved learning about Max. He's he loves football. He's from Oregon, loves talking about the Portland Trailblazers.
Shout out Oregon.
There you go. Like That's something memorable. And then someone's going to go, you know what? Great kid, really good on technicals. He was able to talk about tech really nicely. Let's take him for our team. That's what you want.
Yeah. What about your tell me about yourself? Like that's first impression of every interview, every coffee chat, essentially. How did you craft that?
Really interesting. So again, it's got to be a story. My story is, like I said, came into political science, didn't enjoy it, was able to learn about banking. I think that's one thing bankers like seeing is, you're someone who learned about their job. You're inquisitive. That's what you have to be in banking. So I learned about banking, talked about my involvement in both Scholars of Finance, Trojan Investing Society, and how I really was able to reflect on that and see that banking was the right fit for me. I then talked a little bit about what interests me in banking. So for me, it's this tangible impact with companies. When you go through an M&A transaction, when you go through an IPO, you're affecting not only the company, you're affecting the people within the company, and you're affecting the broader tech, like for me, the tech landscape or whatever landscape of whatever industry you work in. So for me, that's super important because I genuinely get to see the impact of my work, which excites me. You touch on, that's the little bit of the YIB. I probably touched on a little bit of my past internship experience from freshman year when I was recruiting as a sophomore. And then I kind of like to round it out with a fun fact. I think what's really great is people will listen to your tell me about yourself and should be 45 seconds to a minute. And then you end it with a fun fact. And that's a nice jumping off point to keep talking.
Right.
And in terms of your point about impact, because your story is unique, right? Political science, kind of grew up in the Bay, ties to the Bay, interest in tech. It's like pretty easily you can put together a story. But what if someone that's like, I don't know, from Kentucky, business major, wants to do like SF tech? Like,
absolutely,
how would they think about crafting their why tech? Why tell me about yourself?
Especially if they have like no tech internship experience, nothing at all.
So look, I think everyone has great stories to tell. I don't think it's like, you're right. It is a little bit easier to sell my story because I know the Bay Area well. I know San Francisco well. I have that kind of story about me learning about semiconductors from my dad. But everyone has impacted with whatever they're interested in. They've used it at some point. I think like for your example of someone from Kentucky, imagine they play football and they've used some sort of technology instrument to track performance, right? If that's something you learned about in 7th, 8th grade and that amazed you, that's a really nice story to hear about because it's, wow, since a young age, you've been thinking about building up kind of your involvement in X industry. And that's super interesting to see about, right? If anything, like sometimes it's better to be the kid from Kentucky because you're so different. And bankers like talking to different people. Bankers like having people. We don't want the same type A person 30 times in an office or 30 times in a group. We want a variety of people. Like it really is a good melting pot of people. When you have a cohesive group.
Right.
About YIB, one thing I want to say is a lot of people like YIB, it's pretty cookie cutter, impact, whatever.
Sure.
Like think about your parents. Have your parents ever worked at a company that was bought out or like their group got bought out? Like,
Yeah.
I remember like I was crafting my YIB and it was pretty cookie cutter when I recruited. And then I thought about like, oh, my dad worked at a printing company, Xerox.
Yeah.
And it got bought out by 3D Systems.
Big time.
Well, his group got bought out by 3D Systems. Like, oh, that's M&A right there.
Right.
And it never clicked in my head that happened in my life and I could relate to my YIB. So like do some life reflection, like talk to your parents about their journey and like where you could put together like the pieces to
also,
make a cohesive answer.
Think about your own experiences that you've done. That will help you like be good in investment banking. Like something that I incorporated was I was a Bollywood dancer. And I would be like put that into my YIB and they would be like, oh wow. And it also gives them a segue to ask about something that you can easily talk about and kills 5 minutes in an interview.
I mean, that's the fun fact I mentioned, right? Like if you can talk and show your personality, everyone's going to have a tell me about yourself. Everyone's going to kind of go through the same structure out of sense. But if you show a little bit more of your personality, whether it's a coffee chat, an interview, or a super day, that allows a banker to dig a little bit deeper, learn a little bit more about you. And at the end of the day, if they go to the round table and they're deciding between candidates and they can talk about Kruti for 5 more minutes and her interests more than they can about Ashan, they're probably going to take Kruti as a summer analyst or as a full-time analyst.
Right.
And the bankers don't know who you are. You have to kind of like essentially condense your life story or like who you are into 30 minutes.
You got to build it up for them. Yeah, absolutely.
You really have to showcase yourself and like get it across because in your head, you know who you are, but in their head, it's just like another kid from USC.
Like in a super day, you have 30 minutes to show that MD, like, this is who I am.
Yeah.
This is why you should hire me. Yeah. Try to show them your interest. Try to show them you're smart. You have good resume experience. Yeah. And like, I think really what sticks with them is how you end that interview. And it's always ending it with like a fun fact.
Exactly. A positive note, talking about something fun, learning about, I think, the banker as well.
Right.
A lot of the times.
Love talking about themselves.
Yeah. Like people inherently, subconsciously, like just like we like talking about ourselves, right?
Definitely.
And so if you can kind of go into an interview, go into a coffee chat and start asking a lot of great questions and connecting with them, that they're going to come across, come away from that interaction as like, wow, that kid really wanted to learn. That was a really enjoyable coffee chat. Like, I think that's someone I'd like to work with.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
So in Super Days, at least my experience, a lot of the behavioral questions were more out there. Like, what's your biggest failure in life? What's your biggest regret? Like pretty deep questions. Like you can kind of prep for them, but you can't always prep for them. So let's say you got asked a question that you didn't prep for already. Yeah. Like how would you go about answering that like on the spot?
So I'm going to break it actually apart because I think this question is really good. I want to break it apart into two ways. The first is these kind of like, tell me about a time when questions, right? So like you mentioned, like, tell me about a time when you failed, or tell me about a time when you're working in a team and
situational questions.
Situational questions.
Yes.
Great way to put it. So in my eyes, those questions should have prep beforehand, right? Like we all agree, like you should have a couple of stories you can rely on, whether it's from clubs, classes, or extracurricular involvements, where you can talk about how you were able to navigate that journey. That's super important to come across cohesive, but also to kind of have that STAR method that we talk about a lot, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Talking about the situation, task, action, result. So those are kind of one section of questions. But to this other idea of these weirder questions, a great question, and I think actually one really cool thing is if a bank is asking you these more interesting questions, I think it speaks to how well that bank is and how good that bank is because they really want to learn about you.
Yeah.
So some questions I've gotten from my previous experience is I got asked who my role model is. Now you sit there and you say, wow, that's a pretty tough question to answer. Mm-hmm. If I answer, and look, a lot of people say mom, dad, sister, brother. It's fine if truthfully that is your role model, but it's a bit cookie cutter, right? You're not differentiating yourself in any way.
Almost like a college app.
Exactly. It's like you need to find a way to make it more interesting. And so for me, when I heard that question, I hadn't thought about it before, but I really tried to tie in kind of my experience and who I am. So my answer was twofold. The first one was Conan O'Brien, who is a late night talk show host. Mm-hmm. He hosted The Late Show before Jimmy Fallon and right after Jay Leno. And what I'm really impressed with Conan O'Brien is he has this ability to connect with anyone. Doesn't matter the celebrity he's talking to that night on his show. Like they're always laughing, they're always having a good time, and everyone has nothing but positive things to say about Conan O'Brien. I'm currently taking an intro to stand-up comedy class at USC, so I decided to mention that. It's a really great way to show more depth to who I am as a person. Mm-hmm. The second one is Steve Irwin. Steve Irwin is a Australian zoologist. The reason is I used to watch these like late night videos on YouTube, and it's like Steve Irwin like wrestling an alligator. I'll be honest, I don't like animals. Like I'm not the biggest animal guy. But what really is interesting to me is Steve Irwin's, idea of exploration. He consistently wants to go learn more, go push more. For me, like I got into running pretty recently, and I was able to run my first marathon in San Francisco during the internship this summer. And for me, like the interesting thing is like I talked about running. I started running, probably like later sophomore year, and was able to talk about how that journey of me, like I literally started from ground zero. My first run was like 2 miles. It was like a 10-minute mile. Like I was like struggling through it. But I started as, like a sophomore running, was able to build that up. And so it's like cool to see kind of the ultimate impact, but also when talking to bankers as a sophomore, I was like, look, like I'm trying to run a marathon. I want to run a marathon. And so that's what Steve Irwin kind of alludes to with his sense of exploration, how it, impacts me.
And going off of that, like you're obviously can't prep for these questions, but especially for the STAR method, right? Yeah. A lot of kids will try and get that down, practice their tell me about themselves a lot. Why I be. At a certain point, it will sound like it's rehearsed.
Robotic, yeah.
How did you make sure you were practicing your behavioral so they were good without having that robotic sense come out when you were in the interviews?
Look, I think it's the same for the tell me about yourself, the tell me about a time when questions, and also these more interesting questions. When I used to debate in high school, like a very common practice was I used to stand in front of my mirror and do like I would speak in front of my mirror, or practice debate in front of my mirror. What it allows you to do, it not only allows you to see, like it allows you to see how you look when you're speaking to someone, but also you immediately know when you're like flustered or the flow isn't good as part. So I would stand in front of my mirror in my sophomore year in my Kale apartment in the village. I have like 5 roommates. None of them are business. They're like so confused what I'm doing. I'm standing there. I'm doing the tell me about yourself. Mm-hmm. And you very quickly notice you're like, all right, point A, point B, point C. Point A, something slightly off. Let's change it. And that's a great way, I think, to have that repetition, but also not sound robotic.
Agree.
I think also just doing mock interviews. Yeah. Honestly, like
Yeah.
I still remember texting Ishan in like a hurry before my super day, like, Ishan, I need you to do this mock interview and I need you to grill me. And like, just having, it's scary, right? Yeah. Like you don't want to do bad, but I would rather do bad in front of Ishan and have him give me feedback than go into that interview and have that MD think, oh my God, her behaviorals are horrible.
You'd rather me rip you apart because I'm not going to think of you any differently. If anything, I'm going to be like proud of you for taking the chance, taking that on of practicing and getting better. At the end of the day, you never want the first time to be when you're going into the interview. You want practice, you want reps, right? It's like playing a sport.
That's one of my regrets. I wish I would have mocked more.
Yeah.
The first mock is the hardest. Like
it's always so.
It's like you're just shaking.
I don't even think the first mock is the hardest. Sending the text or sending the email to get mocked the first time is like the most daunting thing ever.
I still remember sitting
Really?
Yeah. I was like, man, what is this senior going to think of me? What is this mentor going to think of me? Like, what if I can't walk through basic questions?
Oh, you feel like it's like almost a tryout for
mentorship.
Especially when it's like a mentor who's like poured time into you.
Yeah, and you're really asking them
to do a mock, and then you're sitting there, you're like, oh my God, I don't want to disappoint them.
Right. And I think
that's good pressure though.
It's a good pressure.
It is.
It preps you well, and then after you get out of that first one, you could go 0 for 10 on questions. But at least you come out of it and you're like, wow, that was quite good. That was like well worth it. I can improve now. I know where I need to improve. You can move from there. And it's the same with behaviorals or technicals or whatever.
It's just also upperclassmen. Like we've all gotten different interview questions that have been weird and out of pocket. And I remember interviewing with Ria Mehta, and she was like, tell me about 3 of your biggest weaknesses and 3 of your biggest strengths. And she's like, yeah, I got that question. I'm like, I know one.
Yeah, Centerview really loves those.
Centerview loves
Or like, I got a question. What is the dumbest thing you've ever done? It's a tough question to answer, right? Yeah. You can't simply say something dumb, but you have to find a way to make it more interesting by yourself.
Right.
So mine was, I'm a big skier, so I was skiing at Vail one time, and I'd never jumped off a cliff before. My friends are big. My friends are big cliff jumpers in skiing. They're very good skiers, and they're like, Sean, you can do this. You can go off of it. It's like a 10-foot cliff. I'm like, all right, let's do this. I like send it. I'm like fully like arms out, like all my skis pop out, my poles go everywhere. It's like a dumb thing I did, and my ski broke in half. Oh. Like fully snapped. So
you were good though.
It's pretty. I was fine. It was like a lot of powder. It was a soft landing, but it was a dumb thing I did. But it's a funny story because like not only did I talk about skiing, so now you know another interest of mine. It's a funny story. It's humorous.
It's not like you did something that's actually like
correct.
Dumb.
Please don't actually say something that you did that was dumb.
Like it's like, oh wow, like you tried something new.
Yeah,
it's fun. The interviewer will get a laugh out of it.
And for these situational answers, you always want to tie it back to banking or like tie it back to a lesson that's applicable to banking.
So true.
Like you're using the STAR method. Like after results, it's like okay, well this shows blah blah blah, or I learned this, and this is very important. Investment banking, it's client services, whatever.
Yeah, but I think it's also important to not just like give answers that are so professional. Correct. Like you want to showcase other areas of yourself. I think a lot of times kids tend to fall into, I need to pick experiences that were in clubs or in my job. It's like, if you were a basketball player and you have experience from there, that's probably more interesting than listening to, oh, I did this in one of my clubs.
I mean, you have to realize bankers are very smart people.
Right.
If you've made it to the interview, they understand you have good experience. They're wanting to learn more about you. Yes, there are the technicals. Those, like we've mentioned, are kind of the table stakes. You have to know those. But when it comes time for the behaviorals, show yourself off. Show how cool you are as a person. Because every person is cool. Like everyone has interesting things about them. You just need to dig deep and find them. And I think also, a quick side note, this really goes to that interest portion on the resume. Right?
Oh, yeah.
We all talk about this, right? And maybe we can talk about each of our interests. Yeah. But like on my interest section, it is so specific to where in multiple interviews, people are starting off with a question on that. Like MDs are asking me, I have 2 big ones. One is I write Gordon Ramsay aficionado. I love Gordon Ramsay. Like I watch aficionado. Like it's basically a fan.
Like MasterChef Kitchen. Like you've watched.
So I like Hell's Kitchen the most.
Okay.
Like, I love Hell's Kitchen. I really love like
the
MasterChef
Yukon
is
Huskies
great.
were on there.
I know, I remember. And then I really like. There's a show called Kitchen Nightmares. He no longer does it, but he used to go around to these failing businesses, if you will.
Oh,
and
I remember that.
He like screams at these owners.
And then he would like fix them up.
Exactly. And so like, the story is like, as like a 10-year-old, I used to die laughing at Gordon Ramsay screaming at these people. But I like, if you watch more of his shows, he's actually like quite an understanding person and loves to mentor and loves to teach. That's what I get more from him now. Like he says, put in the work. And if you're putting in the work, he's going to like, he's gonna like value you, and he's gonna put that.
That's Ishan's mentorship style.
There you go. So I used to value that, and so I used to talk about Gordon Ramsay a lot. The other one was I was like 1 a.m. I think like my freshman year of college, scrolling through like YouTube or whatever, and there's the professional darts world championships. What? Yeah.
Professional darts?
Correct. So imagine a room in Germany or London, like a massive like hall, and there's 2 guys at the front with a darts board, and then it's just packed with like a bunch of people like having a great time, eating food, and then there's like big screens, and it's like 2 guys just like playing darts. And so this is like the World Championships in Europe. It happens every year, and it's like one of the biggest events possible. And it is like the most electrifying event you've ever seen. Like you think you've seen like football games that are fun, like this is unreal. Like when someone
that's on your interest,
and it's on my interest section.
Professional darts.
And I'm not joking with you. Super Day, sophomore year, first question asked is, who's your favorite professional darts player? And without missing a beat, I go Michael van Gerwen. It's this like bald dude from the Netherlands. It's my favorite player ever. It's like a 3-time world champion winner.
Hey, see, scrolling at night.
Scrolling helps, right?
Doom scrolling can help.
And so what I tell people, and this goes exactly with the more interesting questions to tell me about yourself. You like, if you take one thing away from this episode, it's just like you need to show personality. That's going to help you get the job. That's going to help you become a cool person, become an interesting person. And so when you think about that interest section on the resume, a lot of bankers will actually just look at that and see if you're interesting enough to talk to. I like to please never include, this is one pet peeve of mine. Maybe it's just me, but I never have the word just traveling on there because that is so broad.
It's so broad.
And if you really
do you like traveling to national parks? Do you like going to Europe?
Be specific. If you really love Bryce Canyon National Park and Sequoia National Park, say national parks. That's so much more interesting than just the broad thing of traveling.
But I also don't like when kids are just like restaurants. Like
Correct.
on my resume, I had LA restaurants, and someone asked me like, "Oh, what's your favorite LA restaurant?" It was a USC alum, and I was like, "Okay, I know my answer to that." Yeah. It's like you can't be broad. You can't just say NBA. Like, what's your favorite NBA?
So
team?
I put Denver Nuggets because I'm from Denver, like a huge. He's
a lot
Portland.
of people do like USC football.
Exactly.
Right.
Like that's great.
Team.
I think that's great because that's a great conversation starting off point. Another one, I'll give an example. Please don't put Drake on there. Guys, everyone listens to Drake. Everyone knows who that is. For me, something I'm interested in, I really like house music. I started getting into it in college. So I put Daft Punk on there. So Daft Punk, yes, Daft Punk is very well known, but it's a little bit more niche.
What's your favorite Daft Punk song?
Song called Voyager. I think it's fantastic.
Okay.
Yeah. Highly recommend. Highly recommend people listen to that.
I don't know what song that is.
It's good 90s French house music.
Wow.
But see how interesting that is? He asked me right away, and I'll allude to something really quickly from Justin when he was on the podcast last week.
J-Lim,
yeah.
You guys asked him, what's your favorite In-N-Out order, right?
He goes crazy.
And
he goes crazy. This guy
sits up in the chair, wow, it's my favorite question. He goes, listen, you have to get
toasted bun.
Toasted bun.
Oh, actually, I got a toasted bun at In-N-Out. It was really good.
It was good.
Good job, J-Lim.
Good job, J-Lim.
But
listen, so he sits up in the chair and he goes, look, I really like raw onions and grilled onions. But you can't get too much lettuce because then it makes a burger too cold.
And the raw onions have to be chopped. Otherwise, it's too spicy to bite into.
I don't remember.
It was fantastic. I was listening and I was like, the thing that the In-N-Out burger and the order aside, what you can see from him right away is he's interested in that.
Yeah.
And bankers pick up on that. And so that, by the way, right there, that's a behavioral question that you're getting asked.
Oh, yeah.
That's an interesting behavioral question you're getting asked. And so when Justin goes up and says, man, I love X, Y, and Z from In-N-Out. I get this order. I get this Dr. Pepper.
Right.
That's interesting. Versus if a kid lies and it's like, oh, I like In-N-Out. And you ask me and I go, oh, I get the double. That's it.
You have to be able to talk.
Pretty boring.
I think another thing is now that Max and I, also Ishan, we've been on the other side. We've done interviews of kids who want to go into banking. We can tell when we ask about an interest or ask a question and you see the light in their eyes.
Yes.
When we ask about one of your interests, I want to see you get excited to answer that question.
Yeah.
Otherwise, and also I feel like a lot of kids are like, will someone know about my interest? I want my interest to be applicable. They shouldn't be applicable to everyone.
Right.
It should be
can't be too niche.
Well, not too niche.
You're right.
You're losing value.
I'm
it's
saying
underwater basket weaving, and there's so many questions I can ask you about that, right?
One of the cool ones I've seen is swimming with sharks.
Oh, there you go. That's interesting. My first question to that is, where do you do that? First of all,
Hawaii North Shore.
Second of all, my question is, how do you get certified to do that?
You don't.
Now I'm interested. Now I'm hooked. That's like
right.
I'm like, okay,
$100. Let's go to Hawaii and do it.
let's do it. And so now my question is, what type of sharks are you swimming with? Is it dangerous? Did you get bit? Like I have a bunch of questions.
Like it should be something that piques interest, and like not everyone's done. Like I'm definitely interested. I was like, what's swimming with sharks?
Yeah. Something interesting. I think another thing interesting going off of that is this is what a banker told me actually once. He's a partner at a firm, and he was like, Sean, we were doing like a coffee chat / interview, if you will. So it was part of the super day process, but there was no set questions. Like when you get to the super day, like in a super day, there are 4 rounds, 3 to 4 rounds typically, 3 to 4 30-minute or 45-minute rounds. And, one of them will be probably technicals. Mm-hmm. One of them might be like an industry trend / deals, like talk about an industry. The next 2 are kind of what you make of it, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. So
it's usually with the MDs.
Exactly. Yeah. And they're trying to really see who you are because they want to know that like, hey, if I'm with him on a deal, not only will he get the stuff done, but he's also going to be fun to be with.
Right. At 2 a.m. in the office.
That's how it is, right? Yeah. Like that's how the job is. We all know that, but it's you want to be able to be that fun person in the office.
They'll come in with like paper, red pen, scratch up your resume.
Yeah, no, exactly. And so we're having our Zoom call. And I brought up that I like to run. He likes to run. And our 45-minute like chat was all about running. He was like asking me like, how like do I listen to music when I run? I was telling him like, oh, by the way, like when I go for a longer run, I start off with songs that are lower beats per minute, and then I escalate to higher beats per minute. That is a pretty niche fact to know, and you can only know that if
like
you
breathing
run.
Technique, like
right?
Exactly.
2 in, 2 out.
Exactly.
Like
right?
do you run heel, ball, toes? Like
he's asking me about the shoes I wear, like. Another interesting thing to think about for a lot of sophomores, a lot of freshmen is when you're having a conversation like that, don't stop it. You got to keep writing that out, right? And that's the idea and the banker was like, people nowadays lack a lot of common sense. When you're having that conversation that's 30 to 45 minutes, it's flowing really nicely. You should be asking follow-up questions. You should be asking.
It should be a conversation.
It should be a conversation, right? Like we're having right now. Like it's supposed to come across as, free flowing, but also very natural. And you should ride that conversation out because at the end of the day, I would much rather talk about Gordon Ramsay or Daft Punk or running or the World Championship for darts rather than talk about a DCF. Like I don't want to talk about a DCF. I want to talk about my
I think that's everyone.
Yeah. That's everyone, right? So that's super interesting too.
What about just being polished? Like let's say someone isn't polished. Like how do they get polished?
Yeah. So a couple of things. I think one, so I highly recommend something to everyone, and I didn't do this. I think you did a good job of this. I'm sure you did a good job of this as well. When you're going through investment banking recruitment, please exercise. That's not like a thing to like get jacked or look big or whatever. Like, please find a way to like relieve stress.
Oh yeah.
And like find a way to stay active, because I like would like say like, oh, I can't spend like an hour in the gym, or I can't go play basketball or like run around like toss a football with my friends because I have to study. I can assure you, if you go do some sort of physical activity and you come back, your mind is going to be sharper. You're going to get that break, and that's super important. So
you'll be in a better mood too.
You'll be in a better mood.
Also, like when I went to the gym, it would just be like, I'm listening to music. I'm not like,
correct.
My mind is off.
Don't listen to a podcast.
I'm not thinking
like,
banking. For the 45 minutes, it's like, I'm not recruiting.
Exactly. And so the big thing about that is like, you allow yourself to like rejuvenate yourself. You allow yourself to reset, which I think is the first point in being polished. If you're too stressed out, everyone can see it.
Right.
We all have done interviews for various clubs on campus at USC, and we can tell when someone's stressed or not. We don't want them to be stressed, but you have to make sure that you can come across as polished and relaxed. The second thing I think is, and this is something personal to what I do, I go in with a hype up song. So I listen.
Dreams and Nightmares.
That's one. I listen to A Milli by Lil Wayne before every coffee chat and every interview. I'm sick of the song. Like, I do not want to listen to the song, but that song gets me pumped up. It gets me ready to go. There was a study done a couple of years ago where it was like on Zoom, if you're talking to someone, it's very clear. Like if I come in with like 100% like elevated effort and like excitement, it's probably like 75 to 80% like seen on their end. So like you lose a lot of excitement and engagement over Zoom rather than in person.
Yeah.
And so you have to come in with more excitement because as the interview goes along, you're going to go downhill. Yeah. Right. You're going to get tired. You're going to get more and more tired. And so the thing you have to remember is you have to come across excited, have to come across like, hey, I'm really excited for this opportunity. Thank you for giving it to me. I'm not going to waste it.
Right.
And before every single, and this is especially true in super days, like when you have a one-off like coffee chat or a one interview for 30 minutes, that's fine. That's all it is. But when you have the super day, you have a bunch of interviews back to back. You have like the first interview is as equally important as the last interview. and you cannot come across dead or tired at that last interview.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. Especially when it's so long.
Yeah.
It's like there are going to be kids who are going to look stressed. Justin talked about it. Like
exactly.
there will be kids who will be
He's
stressing out like that.
Like, damn. You can't have that. You can't show that. You got to be confident in yourself. And that's where being polished comes from. Honestly.
I like the song.
Yeah.
I had a song. Like in high school, our coach always played Electricity by Dua Lipa.
There you go.
Oh,
there you
okay.
go.
So whenever I'm nervous, like when that song kicks in, like I've been in that position like 60 times. So I'd play it before Super Days. That's the same thing. Lacing up the shoes, like
totally
ready to play.
Absolutely.
No, definitely. I think that's another, like yesterday I was on a call for Scholars of Finance, like a meeting, and I got placed in a room with 2 sophomores who were presidents at their chapters. And they were like, oh, wow, what did you recruit? I'm like, banking. They're like, we're recruiting banking. Talk for 15 minutes about banking.
What schools?
Emory, and the other one was at Chapel Hill.
Oh,
love it.
Nice.
There you go.
So like, no, but just talking to them, it's like they were talking about the programming they have and whatnot. Like, first of all, SC is really good with our programming.
Wait, plug the podcast.
No, I did. Don't worry. I told them to tune in.
I think you're spot on, by the way. Like, people had this a lot of people had this perception, and there's this whole thing around like the idea of like target schools, non-target schools, or like semi-target schools. To anyone listening that goes to USC, we are definitively a target school.
Oh, 100%.
They save spots at banks for us. Like, they want us to go there. They like USC people. A big thing I hear in the finance community is USC kids work hard, but they play hard, and they can have a great personality. And that's what we should harp on.
And that's exactly what like the conversation was about. They're like, oh, what type of questions? And it's like, SC kid, like you have a fun personality. You go to a fun school.
Yes.
You can talk about so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like that sets you apart from a candidate from a school that like might not be fun. I don't.
Yeah.
Not gonna say any names, but
no, you just got to show your personality. Like I said, like we've gone through so many different ways that they can try to see your personality in an interview or a coffee chat, but it's really just about conveying who you are as a person. It takes practice. Like it's not something you learn overnight, or it's not something like that you like. People see me and they're like, wow, like you have such niche interests.
Right.
Those interests take time to develop, right? But you really have to like dig deep, see like what's really cool about yourself, and then expand from there.
Right.
Do you want to talk about mentorship?
Yes.
Let's do it.
Well, first of all, thank you for being a great mentor to both of us.
Dude, you guys were great mentees.
You get a lot of credit for getting us both our offers.
I almost didn't meet Ishan, actually.
I know.
I was like not aware of like my first conversation with Ishan was like a week before my interview, and I'm like, Ishan, I need you to mock interview me.
There you go.
I was thinking of you. I'm like, who isn't banking? I'm like, Ishan.
It worked out. There you go.
Yeah.
So for all freshmen and sophomores, like first question is like, if you could rewind the clock, what would you do differently? Or like, what is the quote unquote optimal path?
Yeah.
And then second of all, like for freshmen and sophomore, like how would you find mentors and how do you develop that?
So look, it's interesting.
Like, how do you know who's right?
Oh, absolutely.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Spot on. So it's interesting, and maybe we can talk about this all because you both were my mentees, and we can talk about what I did good and bad and whatever. But that's where you're supposed to interject and say you did everything perfect. No, but
cut the camera.
But so if I could rewind the clock, it's hard to say that because I'm very happy where I am right now. Like I'm very pleased with everything. I think in terms of understanding how to find mentors is really important, and so you have to find people. And so the way I look at it, right, we are at most a grade apart, right? Like me and both of you. And so once we leave college, like a year of a difference is nothing. When you're like 35 or 40, like people have friends that are like 8 or 9 years younger, and they're still just best friends, right?
Right.
In school, when you have these grades, they kind of act as like buffers, and it's like, oh, like he's in the grade above me. Like we can only be a mentor-mentee relationship. We can't have friends. Like both of you are my friends now. And so when finding mentors, you need to find people you genuinely want to be friends with.
Agreed.
Like those are the people who are going to want to help you out, and like 2, going to want to see you succeed, right? Like when both of you succeed, I'm happy. I'm like, wow, they're doing a great job. Like I like seeing it on the LinkedIn. I like seeing like, you guys like mentor other students. Like that's really exciting.
LinkedIn hyperlink.
Right.
Exactly.
Sean Tandon.
But it's great to see your friends succeed. That's number one thing. So how do you go about finding a mentor? A mentor is not someone. It's not like you don't have to stick to a specific club. You don't have to stick to a specific school. Almost actually, a lot of people I know have mentors at other schools or mentors in the industry. And so it's all about finding people you connect with, people who have similar interests, but also people who you respect their values a lot, right? I think that is a key characteristic of, do I want to be like them? Do I want to see myself in their shoes? 3-4 years down the line. And so that's really important in finding a mentor. For me, I had two really great, I had a bunch of great mentors. But one I want to like shout out in particular, or two I want to shout out in particular. One is Adil. He's an banking, an investment banking analyst at Evercore, and then Sam Lichtman, who works in private equity now. But both of those guys are so polished, in my opinion. I've spent so much time talking to them. I know a lot about them, and I genuinely consider them my friends. And so I know I can always go to them for advice, and always learn about stuff from them. Yeah. And so, like, I share a lot of the same interests with both of them, and so that's where I know that's a great mentor. That's someone I look up to because I want to be like them, right? I want to gain that experience. And then I think what was the last part? Just
how to know who's right.
How to know who's right. I think it takes time. Like, you're gonna maybe start off with a coffee chat. You're gonna start off by doing a mock interview, and slowly what you'll see is, I think the really great mentors are the ones who are willing to pick up the phone, text you whenever you need it, respond back. Like, those are the people who are in your corner, because a lot of the times in banking recruitment, you have like really small questions you need answered. You're like, I don't know how to write this thank you email. I don't know how to write this follow-up email. He CC'd this person. How do I respond to this CC?
How do I move this CC to a BCC?
Exactly. Yeah. How do I change this? He said he wants to do a 20-minute coffee chat. I said, can we do a 30? What do I do? These are things you only know once you go through the process. And these are time-sensitive questions, is the way I say it. And so having someone who's going to respond to you right away is super important. And the second point, I think this is the really important part, is having someone that you can rant to. And you've talked about this before.
Oh, yeah.
We've talked about it because I've heard your rant. And I told you.
I know. We sat on that Zoom call.
And I told you, and you were on the TFA trek, and you were like, Sean, like, interviews aren't coming in. I'm not feeling good. And I go, Max, take a deep breath.
No, it wasn't even that. It was like after
like an interview or something like that. And it's like after an interview, like Max is like sitting there. He's like, dude, like, we only did 2 questions. I'm freaking out. Like, I don't know if I'll get an offer. I was like, Max, slow your roll. It happens.
Right.
And he called the offer, actually.
And I did. I called it
the
offer,
in December. I said Max would get Morgan Stanley. That's correct.
Yeah, it was in January, actually.
It is in December. You can look at our texts. You still owe me Nobu for it, by the way. But anyways,
true.
Anyways, you need someone you can rant to. You've talked about this, especially with your other mentors.
Yeah.
But it's having people you can like that have your back. Like, hey, like, something's not going right. Can you calm my nerves a bit? And that's the biggest thing. It's just someone you can talk to.
Someone who'll just give you tough love too.
Yeah.
Like, there were many times I just needed someone to be like, okay, you need to get on this.
Like, suck it up. Like, you're acting like a baby. Let's move on.
No, I still remember
stop
sitting
around. Let's stop posting TikToks. Let's lock it.
Yeah.
I still remember sitting in a breakout room in Fertitta. Literally did not get diversity programs for like so long. I was like, oh my God. Yeah. I'm sitting there. I'm like about to cry. I'm like, oh my God, this is like the first time I'm going to cry during recruiting. I can't do this. Yeah. They're like, okay, like, what are you going to do now? Like, you can't just be sad about this. Like, you got to pick it up.
Like, crying's like almost normal in recruiting.
No, like, dude, so like, I'm telling you,
I understand that, but like the first time, I was like, this is getting real. Like, it's not working. This is my career on the line. Like,
and it feels like a lot of pressure in the moment, right?
Right.
Like, you've invested a year basically. You joined clubs. You're on eBoard. You've studied the technicals. You're like, please give me a shot. Please let me show you what I know. And even if you do get that shot, like it happened with you, the interview just didn't go well. What my debate coach in high school used to tell me, like, we used to compete like nationally at tournaments, and I was at this tournament at Berkeley, and I had lost like a pretty like important round to myself that was going to help us in the elimination rounds. And he said, all right, Sean, you get 45 minutes of structured mope time. You can feel bad about yourself for 45 minutes. Then after those 45 minutes, we need to pick it up and move on to the next one.
No, agreed.
And that is
you have to
so
get it out
important.
the system.
You have to get it out of the system. You need to complain to someone. If you need to cry, totally fine. But like after a day, you need to move on. And this is why I tell people, don't get attached to banks.
Oh, yeah.
There's a bunch of amazing banks out there. There's a bunch of amazing bankers. Don't say X bank has to be the one for me. When you're going through recruiting, you need to find places that you want to go at. And maybe it's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, whatever, firms. But if it doesn't work out, it's okay. You tried your best. Move on to the next one. The people who are really successful are the ones who say, at X firm, I missed A, B, and C. Let me correct that for the next firm I go to, because they're actually making a change, and that's super important.
Recruiting it'll work out like completely different than what you think it'll happen.
Yeah,
for you and your friends too.
Yeah.
Like,
the thing is, like, the most unexpected will happen. The interviews you think went like horrible will be like, oh, you have a second round.
Yes.
And then the interviews you think like you killed, they'll be you won't hear back.
And you know what's funny? I'll touch on this because I did want to mention this. A lot of the times you will go through a super day, you'll go through a first round interview and you'll be like, man, I crushed that. Like, I am ready for the next round. Yeah. Or like, you'll be like, I'm taking do not disturb off my phone because I'm expecting a call. Right. And you think you technically killed it, behaviorally killed it, you connected with everyone, and then your phone's radio silent.
Oh yeah.
And listen, that happens. It's happened to me. It's probably happened to both of you where we thought we killed it in an interview. We thought we got the offer. The offer never came and just went to another student because maybe they connected a little bit better or there was just some preference.
Or it's like you follow up and they're like, we'll get back to you soon.
And then it's good.
It's the soon is never going to happen.
But that's something you need to really be aware of and say like, you know what? It happened. Let's move on to the next. Just keep one foot in front of the other. Keep moving forward. That's all.
That's why you should recruit every bank too. Like don't just be like, oh, I'm only going for these 3.
Right. Yeah. And it's like, keep an open mind. You never know who you're going to like get along with and what bank is going to fit you before you talk to the people there.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, you'll surprise yourself, I think, in the recruitment process, and a lot will, it'll work out. It takes some time, but it works out for the people who are super diligent. It's for the people who, day in and day out spend what I like. If I could go back, actually, I'm going to tag back on your last question. What would I do differently? If I could structure my day again from like sophomore year, I would wake up in the morning, and the hardest thing to do, I think, in my opinion, is study technicals.
Oh, I hate it.
So annoying. It's really annoying. I would wake up, if I could go back, I would put aside an hour in the morning. I'd wake up at 9. From 9:30 to 10:30, I'd study technicals in the morning. And then I would go to school. And then when I'd come back home, like at 4 or 5 p.m., I would send an hour of emails. Like I'd sit down and send emails. And what that makes you do is it structures yourself into this rhythm that you have. Mm-hmm. Because imagine you wake up at 9, you say, I'm going to go to the gym, do this, X, Y, and Z. You come back from a long day of school. Now you're tired. You know you have homework. Yeah. You don't want to study technicals. So get it out of the way in the morning first. Finish the first task. You're going to feel accomplished. You're going to go to school and say, you know what? Everyone else just woke and I just finished an hour of recruiting technicals.
You just want like least amount of resistance.
Right.
It's going to compound over time. And I think that's what.
Interest.
Exactly. There you go.
Yeah.
No, I genuinely think studying technicals was like the hardest thing I had to get myself to do.
Or just do it over the summer. That's what I did.
Yeah, that's important.
You have your internship, like just work your 9 to 5. For me, I worked like a 9 to 2, so it was great, right? And then I could go to the gym, play basketball, do whatever, play pickleball, and then at night, like from 10 to 11, it was every day, headphones in. I'd play nature sounds.
Good,
and I'd
that is great
every single day
for all the freshmen.
Max says nature sounds.
Yeah,
Spotify
for the sophomores.
Sounds. Yeah.
Follow Ishan's technique of
an hour in the morning.
An
hour in the morning.
Also, like read too.
Please, you cannot learn.
I think almost reading the news is so much more important, or getting
integral.
updated on the market is way more important than even like the technicals of 40, like an hour.
Yeah.
Because I still remember a whole interview for 30 minutes. We were talking about interest rates.
I mean, so I'm going to preface this with a bunch of the sophomores going through recruitment. They're in TFA or they're maybe watching. They're still going through recruitment, and I'm sure a lot of you have your technicals down pretty solid.
Yeah.
And so when you do enter that interview where it's like, let's talk about interest rates, let's talk about what's going on in the market, you can't sit there 2 days before when you get the interview from, Perella Weinberg or Rothschild or Morgan Stanley and say, now I need to learn about everything in the market, or now I need to learn about tech trends or, consumer retail trends or healthcare trends.
It's prepping every day.
Dude, you need to be doing that every day because then you actually see a trend. It's not just what you're seeing in the, it's just not what you're seeing on the first page of, some newsletter or Wall Street Journal.
Or what I did is like when I showered, I turn on the Amplify Me podcast.
There you go.
And I listen to it.
Yeah.
Because when you're showering, it doesn't matter. Like, you don't have to pay attention to the water, right?
No.
And boom, 15 minutes.
For me, it's like, I think it's just like habit, attaching that habit to something you're going to do every day. For me, it was like in the morning, before I'm going to get ready for the day, I know I'm going to do my hair, do like my makeup, whatever. Yeah. It's like perfect. 30 minutes, listen to whatever's going on.
Yeah. Find ways. What I used to do is I'll toss in my AirPods. My walk to school can listen to something.
But when you're walking, you have to like concentrate on not getting hit though.
I don't think it's that hard.
Maybe it's not that tough for me to walk, but
I feel like half my brain I just like, tune out.
Damn. I need to teach you how to walk, dude.
Okay, when I'm like sitting down, I'm like cooking or something.
Okay,
like that,
maybe that's different.
Then my brain can concentrate.
Maybe you're looking around and everything like that, while you're walking or whatever.
But observing the scenery on the campus.
But anyways, you understand. Like the long story we're all trying to say here is when you come away from recruitment and what are good practices, it's little by little, day by day. That's super important. I think that's what's really important.
Cool. Last question. I know we've
been
long.
going.
Yeah. Okay, it's been fun.
Hot take. Like
Hot take.
Give me a hot take. Like
Recruiting
pretend
hot
we're on
take.
first take right now. You're Stephen A. You're trying to spice up the viewers.
Oh man. So I think hot take from banking recruitment, from banking in general.
Anything.
So I think the biggest thing to take away from, so I think this process teaches you a lot. I think like I come out of this process, and it's like one of the most rewarding processes. It was really tough in the moment, but it's one of the most rewarding processes. So the first thing is you just have to stick with it. Like that's my piece of advice broadly to everyone. In terms of hot takes, I think I've mentioned it. Like, please say fun facts. Please say something interesting. This is a good one. This is a really good one. A lot of the times in calls, we all ask about culture at a bank, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
We always ask, what does the culture look like at your bank? And a lot of bankers, honestly, can't give a good answer to that. And so my hot take is, please push back on us as juniors and seniors. Push back on what really defines the culture at our banks, because the best banks can actively tell you subpoints A, B, C, D, E, whatever. And they can tell you, here's what we do, here's how it's fun, here's why you want to come work here.
Yeah.
I think that's the best thing. So when you do ask questions about culture, don't just say, what's your culture like? And when they respond back with, oh, we have great mentorship, and oh, we do fun things together, the next follow-up should be, what are those fun things you do together?
Like, what's your favorite memory at the bank?
One of my favorite questions to ask, and people can steal this if they want, but my favorite question to ask an analyst or an associate is, you work with these people a lot. What is your favorite, time or memory that you've had with people outside of work? Yeah. And the first thing I notice with a lot of bankers is some of them actually, and it's really beautiful to see, some of them say, man, we're best friends. Like Saturdays, we go play pickleball together.
Oh, that's
Saturdays,
so nice.
we go to a happy hour together. A lot of the times people in SF, they love to go to Giants games together in the summer. Those are definitive examples. I'm like, wow, that's a good culture.
Yeah. And you can tell like BS versus non.
You can't, the same way bankers can tell, you can tell in the same way.
Yeah.
And remember, you should be evaluating these banks in the same way. And so I think that's my hot take of, ask about the culture, because culture is really, really important. You don't think about it as a sophomore, but as you kind of get to your first job, you're like, you want to be at a place that excites you. Right. You want to go into work every day really excited, because the job's hard, the job's long, but if you're with people you really enjoy, I think it makes it a lot more worthwhile, and it's really exciting. That's what I found at Perella.
Awesome.
There you go.
On that note.
Well, thanks for coming in today, Ishan.
Absolutely.
I think the listeners definitely learned a lot. Where
we
can they
learned
find
something.
you?
Yes. So I'm currently a peer career advisor for Marshall. So feel free to book times on Handshake. Mm-hmm. We have some amazing peer career advisors as well. Amay, Samar, Thria, Pavna, and Jessica. And they're all kind of investment banking PCAs. So please book times with us.
Kevin, Aditya.
Yeah, they're on the buy side as
for
well.
The buy side.
Yeah. Exactly. And so we're here to help you all. We've been through the process. Please book times. I'm always happy to chat with students and always give back.
Awesome.
We learned a lot from him. I'm sure you guys will as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the Ishan School of Mentorship.
Awesome. Thanks, Ishan.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.